Hi,
Hi
everyone.
everyone.
All right, there should be a poll at the top of your screens right now. So as people start trickling in, if you can just go ahead and start answering this, and then we can get into this week's discussion.
Is it okay, Jenny, if I do the quick reminder for everyone while students are
Yes,
answering? Okay, so
yes,
yeah,
please.
just a very quick reminder for everyone. Please don't forget to turn on your cameras. If you are facing any technical issues like your cameras or your microphones are not working, please do let YC staff Doriel know or the YC staff with attendance in their name. And then also for student leaders and alumni, please put SL or alumni before your name just so we could track your attendance better. And yeah, I think so far we have 10 out of 18 students who have answered the poll. So just let me know if you want to end it, Jenny.
Sounds good. I think we'll just give it just another minute, as I'm sure everyone's running from activities, school, responsibilities. Um, so we'll just give them another few minutes here, or a couple minutes. Mm. Will, I am gonna ask, like, how do I go back to the polls and quizzes? If I X out of the box, will it reappear?
Actually, for that one, I am not 100% sure, but you can open it on your end since you're a co-host. So you can just click on the option or maybe on the more option at the bottom part. There's polls and quizzes.
Oh,
Mhm.
um, Zoom is not so friendly. I I work on Teams versus Zoom, so not so
Okay,
friendly.
yeah, no worries. If you can't open it, Jenny, I can go ahead and just share the results, and I think that will
Please.
pop up. Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
want
please.
to end the poll right now? It's 18 out of 21 students.
Let's see. Sure. Yeah, we can end it.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So let's see what you all wrote here. Okay. First question, when you start a new project or assignment, what's the first thing you usually do? It seems like it was pretty locked here between making a plan or checklist so I know what to do next and jumping right in and figuring out as I go, followed by gather as much information as possible before beginning. I'm always so amazed how like you're all such planners. Um, Not to t cut you because I have never been a planner myself. So it's a pretty unique um, attribute to have. Which type of task feels easiest or most natural for you? Let's see. Researching and understanding the details seems to be the clear winner, followed by organizing and creating systems, building, designing, or visualizing how something will work. Okay. And the third question, when working in a group, what usually causes the most tension or misunderstanding? Again, this is like split. Differences in planning styles, organized versus flexible, talking versus doing, different approaches to getting things done. Yeah, that can be really challenging when you work, when conflicting styles of work just kind of bump each other, and it's hard to navigate around each other. All right. Well, if we could pull up the presentation for this week, please. All right. Hold on one second. Okay. This week we're going to be exploring your natural strengths. This is, has its own name, the Kolbe, what is it? The Kolbe measure. So this will be kind of interesting as you take a step back to think about how approach different, like what category you kind of fall into. And it's always kind of fun to like look within yourself to see how you kind of fall within these different sort of things that identify you or create your identity. So, um, can we go to the next slide, please? All right. Last week you all covered business communication, exploring how to present ourselves professionally in person and online to build credibility. Learned how first impressions and digital etiquette shape trust and respect. And then by creating personal pitches and tailoring resumes and cover letters, we learned how to confidently showcase our strengths in academic and professional settings. So my question is, if there are any, follow-up questions that anyone has, if you want to, ask them now just based on what you covered last week. Maybe you walked away from this, what was discussed last week, and you're thinking about your own resumes and cover letters and stuff. This could be an opportunity if you have any follow-up questions, so please feel free to ask. No? Oh, yes, Daniela.
I just want to know if you like will go more into depth of cover levels, cover, because like in the program I did, they just like gave a bland explanation of it, and I still don't know if like all cover letters have to be individual based on the company, or can it be like broad or something?
It's, what I have found is it's better when you customize it, and it is a pain because you start off with like a general template, but then you want to customize it based on you know, um, the opportunity or the position that you're applying for, because you what you want to do is that's your opening shot, your opening line. That's going to be the thing that kind of like catches people's attention, because you're applying for these jobs normally behind a screen, so you don't really have the opportunity to connect and present yourself. So this is a really great opportunity to just high level kind of present why you'd be a good fit for this particular position that you're applying for. It is a little bit of a drag because you do have to customize it and you have a little bit of extra work, but you can at least have like a general template and then build from that. So that would be my recommendation.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you asked that question. Thank you. And does anyone else have any questions? No? All right. Well, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so for this week's learning objectives, this is a 3-point sort of approach that we want you to take away from this week's lesson. Understanding what the Kolbe Index measures and how your instinctive strengths influence the way you take action and solve problems. Learn the 4 Kolbe action modes and recognize your natural patterns for handling information, organizing, innovating, and creating. And practice using your Kolbe strengths in collaboration by identifying blind spots, communicating your work style, and combining strengths to improve teamwork. Um, so not this, frankly, this is the first time I've ever heard of the Kolbe measure. So this was kind of interesting to read through and present, but it actually makes a lot of sense. Um, just to kind of introduce this whole subject, you know, it's this is really an opportunity to understand like how you approach different problems or how you this is like so much about yourself, and there's really no wrong or right way. So I just want to put that out there. But the real benefit of understanding kind of how you approach these different problems is to better understand how you can work in a group environment, or you know um work through a problem, and just gaining some more understanding kind of helps you understand how you're going to approach a certain, work through a certain issue. So it's always great to understand how a little bit more about yourself. So what the Kolbe measures and why it matters. Number one, it measures how you naturally take action. So it really plays into your instincts and your strengths. And that's again a really important thing to understand so that you can build on that and understand how you're going to lead a team. Maybe your approach is a little bit different. It also reveals your instinctive strengths. Same thing. There's no wrong or right, but it's a better understanding like how you approach a problem and pulling on those strengths to help you navigate through that. Um, and again, reminding us that everyone has their own unique natural instincts, which, can serve to your benefit, obviously. What naturally comes as a strength or as like an instinct or an instinctual move will, you know, you understand how to approach something a little bit differently, and that can play into your success and seeing that through. And the other thing is to stop fighting your natural instinct and to start working with them. So everybody works differently. Maybe you work in a group and you see how somebody else works and you think, well, maybe I should be doing that, but why not? Why not just use what works for you? And you can always, build on that a little bit better. It makes more sense to you. It's just a different type of style is all. So learning to accept that, embrace that about yourself. And lastly, the higher confidence, better teamwork, and less stress. So when you are able to apply and understand what your natural instincts are and your strengths are, of course, you're going to yield a better result. You're going to lead with more confidence. You're going to have a better work situation, better teamwork, and ultimately resulting in less stress. So, can we go to the next slide, please? Oh, our first online workbook question. Think of a time when you worked on something and it felt easy or energizing. What made it feel that way? How might your natural instincts have helped you? So I think instead of going into breakout rooms, we are going to have a bigger discussion here. So I invite you to take a moment to think about um, something where that came sort of naturally easy to you and how you approach that. You know, in like, I don't know, maybe a group project or something that you were trying to work through. So I think we can put, what is it? Did we decide a few minutes on the clock? I'll defer to the YC team.
Okay. Maybe we
And
can do 90 seconds. Sounds good.
yeah, or can we push it to a little bit longer so that they
Yeah.
have a chance? Okay. Um, and then we'll reconvene here and see what discussion we have. All right. So I can probably go first a little bit here just to get things warmed up. But, in my my day to day and what I do in my job, very much a group activity where I have a lot of different teams that work in a lot of different ways. I work with creative types who, approach things a little bit differently. So I feel like what I found that help make things easier for myself is just staying on top of um, my tasks at hand, like thinking way ahead what I would need. In this particular project that I was working on, where there were a lot of different pieces, I was working on New York Auto Show. Our automotive client, for example, was at New York Auto Show last week, is still through the 13th at New York Auto Show, but we sent a content creator out there to capture all these different vehicles. So as we were preparing to receive all of his assets, we had to prepare for different reviews. So just really trying to prepare myself for and setting up like different review decks and thinking, trying to think ahead of and get ahead of things is something that really brought me a lot of ease. But it also like was exciting, right? Like it brought order to a crazy amount of traffic. So that's my point. But I'd love to hear from you all if we have any volunteers here. Mia.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, now I can. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Sorry.
Mm,
So for me, I work as a tutor, I think I've mentioned before. And
mhm.
so, I feel like it's really easy for me to tutor kids and I'm a science tutor. And so I find it's really easy for me to tutor kids in science. I like to break down the concepts for them and help them like understand it like step by step. And I think it just feels natural for me because I like to explain things for others to understand it the way I understand it. And like in some way I like seeing like other people succeed. And so I think like my natural instinct, like, being patient and like staying organized helps me guide my students and it helps me kind of adjust how the way I explain things for each student because not every student thinks alike. And I think that just makes everything feel, it makes working feel a lot more rewarding and enjoyable instead of like a drag, as some people might have it feel.
Yeah, and that's a great point because that's your leadership style, right? Like that's the way that you guide them and present the work to them and yeah, keeping them engaged. It's like a lot of different points, but it's so like personal and so specialized to yourself, but you're playing on your gifts in the way that you approach things. So,
Exactly.
yeah. Thank you for sharing, Mia. Can we get some more volunteers, please? Yes, Kendra?
For me, I'm part of ASB leadership for school, and I had to organize like a fundraiser. And I thought it would have been hard, but it was honestly like really easy. And I feel like for me, what helped me was that I stay very like I break a lot of things up into specific parts and I'm very organized with it. So when I did the fundraiser, I like broke everything up and then like split people into like groups. So like I knew how everything was happening, and that's something like I feel like was very easy for me.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's like thinking ahead, thinking all the things that you're going to need ahead of time, like um, forecasting what's ahead, what potential problems you may have or issues, and setting yourself up for success and how you're going to approach that. So, love it. Thank you. Do we have another volunteer? Yes, Roberto.
Yes, so something that I feel like is really easy for me is graphic design. I'm editor-in-chief of your book, and we had to like lay a whole layout for the page, images, stickers, whatever, I feel like that's always come easy for me because I'm a really like detailed person. Like I like making things like I like how to say it? making things look nice. I like adding different things, seeing what it will look like. Yes, focusing on the small little details to make the thing look perfect. Because sometimes, some people like they think that graphic design is really easy because like you just put some pictures, you put some stickers, and it'll look great. But sometimes like it's also the spacing, the amount of space it has, how big the text is, how big the images are. Like there's a lot more into it, and I feel like that's always been something that I like to do, and that's why it's always been really easy for me to. And yes.
That's incredible because not everybody has the patience to think about these details. Like there's a lot of us that are like, who cares? Just slap it up there and let's move on with our lives. But there are people that like you that like that brings you joy. That's like, where you succeed and you thrive. So, yeah, it's just about understanding and recognizing your strengths and playing into that more. So, I work with a lot of people like you. Like we have a lot of art directors and stuff that I work with, and they paint over the craziest details. And I'm like, can we just get this out? But yeah, kudos to you guys. So thank you for sharing. Um, anyone else? These are all great examples. Come on. Let's be chatty today. Can I get one more?
Maybe we can go ahead and choose someone for the
Yes.
last one to
Yeah,
ask.
please.
Maybe I'll go ahead and just give this chance to Jesus Santos.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Oh, right. Something that I found recently easy would probably be my AP language assignment. It was an essay over technology and social media, decreasing like society's like norm for rating and the education levels lowering due to like just getting stuck on your phone and not wanting to get work done. And I found it easy because I've always liked writing like arguments and trying to find connections between evidences just to prove a point. I generally liked the subject because I found it like, wow, this actually connects like to society nowadays, and especially with my peers, I saw it a little bit.
Jesus, it was a little hard to hear you, but I definitely heard little bits and pieces of it. I think you were talking about writing and yeah. And yeah, again, it's a great example of playing into your strengths and understanding that about yourself. And there's a place for all of us. So thank you for sharing. I think we can go to the next slide. All right, this is a little dense here. Okay, so essentially, if we're talking about the Kolbe measure, they really found a way to organize this in a certain way and kind of categorize and put the way that these four different action modes essentially into these four different buckets. You have the fact finder, the follow through, the quick start, and and the implementer. And within these buckets, what the high and the low indicates is that, you are, how do I explain this? It falls between like a range. You are either high on this range or low on this range. So think of it like a dial, like you turn it up or turn it down within each one of these buckets. So as I try to explain this as best as possible, start thinking about kind of like how you think of yourselves and where you fall within each one of these ranges. So for the fact finder, for example, that specifically is how you handle information. Do you like knowing all the details before acting, or do you prefer to simplify to the basics and move quickly? So what that means, if you perform on the higher end of this range. This is somebody who likes to dig deep and research before acting. So are you big on the research and diving deep and doing a deep dive on whatever subject or interest presented to you? Somebody who falls on the lower range of this is fine with just simplifying the information to get to the point quickly. You don't need to digest all of this information or inundate yourself with all this information. You're kind of just like, okay, quick, give me the high points and I'll, proceed from that point on. The next being follow through. How do you organize? Do you create structured systems or adapt and find shortcuts rather than following a strict process? Someone on the higher range of this, would initiate follow through. So they would naturally create plans and systems and checklists. This is a lot about structure and consistency and clear routines, staying organized, preferring process. So a process-oriented person, like you're thinking, I don't know, in my example, because all I live is work, but what is the process here? Who do I need to go to? What is the next step? Just being so process oriented. Or if you're on the lower end of this, kind of like the opposite of this, right? Adapting easily when plans change. You don't, you can pivot quickly. Connecting ideas across different systems, finding creative ways to get things done. So you don't necessarily have to have a plan in place, but you're like quick on your feet and can just move through something very quickly for a plan B. And actually this type of person would prefer some of that flexibility over like having some strict rules and routine. Someone that can jump between tasks. And then your quick start. This is how you deal with change. Do you take risks and innovate or prefer to stabilize and build on what works? So someone on the higher range of this would jump into new ideas and experiment quickly. Somebody who's comfortable with change and taking risks. And then also just getting energy from trying things that haven't been done before. So again, just very adaptable. And someone on the lower range of this would brings a lot of stability to the situation and wants to reduce chaos, preferring to improve what already works instead of reinventing, thinks through changes carefully before taking action. And then lastly, we have the implementer. So when you approach, a situation, how do you work with the physical world? Do you like to model or build solutions in real space or prefer to imagine them? So a high implementer would like to build, model, or demonstrate or physically demonstrate the idea. It's someone who prefers the hands-on learning and the tangible tools, and someone that understands space design and mechanics easily. Somebody that functions on the lower end of this implementer mode would imagine and visualize solutions instead of physically building them. So, like being a little more cerebral about it, like thinking through or imagining what that solution would look like in your mind, as opposed to having to quickly, as opposed to putting it together physically in the physical world. It's someone who prefers working with digital tools and abstract ideas, and someone that can see how things work without needing to touch or construct them. So again, understanding like this mix helps you organize or recognize why certain tasks energizes you while others may feel like they're really draining on you. Um, so it's, one key takeaway from this is like lean into your instincts. Like what doesn't pull from you? What brings you energy? What actually helps you see through these different modes and different tasks at hand? Like, yeah. What do I say to my kids? I always say like, know thyself, right? So the quicker you can accept that, I don't know, the advantage, the more advantage you have. So next question, or next slide, please, which is our online workbook question. So as we look at the four action modes, the question here is which ones do you tend to like to do first when approaching a problem? So I think here we need to take a look at these different modes to approach the school. Okay, so here are some follow-up questions for you as you approach this online workbook question. How does knowing which action mode you lead with help you approach school projects or group work differently? So if you think about I think if you approach it this way, identifying how you land in each one of these categories and seeing how that shapes the way your approach is to, I think the easiest thing is like a group project here. So why don't we take, what is it, 2 minutes or so, to think about this, and then we can come back here and chat about it. All right. So do we have some volunteers here that maybe can get us started? Maybe they can share how, yes, Roberto, please.
Okay, so I don't really know about back find or follow through because like when it comes to following stuff, I don't really like following one procedure. Like it's helpful, sets up a like an administration what I could follow, but like sometimes things might change along the path, and I like being able to like be flexible. But what I think I'm really good at is being a quick start. I do love going into new experiences. I do love just like throwing myself out there to see what would happen, to see what I'm capable of, what I'll learn from that. Maybe I'll try swimming, but I'm not that good at swimming. Like I'll try it, but like if I'm not that good, then at least I know I'm not that good anymore. Or I might, just join a club, see if I like it, but if I don't like it, then I can simply leave. Like I like putting myself out there to learn more things about myself. And when it comes to implementing, I'll say I'm not like a visual like demonstrator. Like I don't like planning things. Like I'm like usually like to myself, like in a group project, for example, while everybody's like spitting random facts, like giving each other ideas. I'm just like to myself in my head, like absorbing like what they're saying, but like thinking to myself like what we could do. I like sharing it instantly. I like thinking things through first.
That's awesome. And can you see how so just picking up on one of those points, but like being a quick starter, how that can actually be so beneficial, like to a group, like you're the person that is the innovator and comes up with ideas and is just like, adds that kind of energy and stretches, the the task at hand, or at least the approach for everyone else in your group, and likely the end result too. So it's great to see how, these different playing up these different parts of your personality and your approach can really be beneficial to um, the greater team or the people that you're working with. Thank you for sharing. All right, another volunteer.
Maybe I can help with that one,
Yeah,
Jenny. Yeah,
yeah,
let's go ahead
please.
and give a chance to Vanessa Aguilar to answer the question.
Great, Vanessa. Yeah, would love to hear what you've found about yourself and maybe how that, I don't know, maybe it's a positive or some things that, or the opposite, like something negative, positive, whatever you want to share.
I guess like a fact about myself that I found out was that I tend to to not really talk a lot in like social settings. And like to me it's kind of something I want to work on because I mean it's an important skill to have. And I mean I would like to like get to know people more. So I think it's just something I know I could work on myself and well it's kind of doable, so
Yeah, for sure. And it's always, I get it. I get that more than you know. So, but a lot of times too, it's like that's also a really great way. I think what would that fall into here? A person who likes to take away and step away from a group setting and think about sort of like the thoughts, and maybe you're more of like you don't need as much of the feedback from other people, but you take a step back and you think about these things and plan it out in your own head and space. So that is super beneficial too to a team. Like you can't have, five leaders in a group. So thank you for that, Vanessa. Let's see, do we have someone else? Yes, Abigail.
Yeah, I like to think I'm a very follow through person. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, okay. Yeah, like I say, I would think I'm a pretty like follow through person. I always like to picture how I want things to be done, and then I tend to stick to how I already pictured everything. So for a final project, like I really like making posters and slides and projects, and I always like end up following through with my things, and they always end up getting praised by like teachers because of how good my things usually look.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great to hear. Yeah, that recognition is really key, but it's all the work. It sounds like you put a lot of work into what you do, and it's wonderful that you're recognized for that. So thank you for sharing. All right, let's have one more volunteer, please.
Okay. Yeah, I think no one's volunteering for now. Maybe we can go ahead and choose Danielle Hahn.
Yeah, for me, I would say I'm more of a fact finder just because I want to see all the information before I go and solve a problem because whenever I try to move things too quickly into a problem, there's always that time when like my group or whatever I'm doing, the people I work with, like we forget to do something on the directions and we have to restart that project. So it's just really annoying. So now I've just learned to find all the facts first and make sure that I have all the information before I try to attempt a problem.
Thank you, Daniel. I think that's a great point too, because sometimes what comes to you as naturally where you're like, all right, I'm jumping into this and you're excited and you're uh, you know, um, just want to get started. Um, but it's important to adjust that expectation too, depending on whether or not you have all the information that you need to even get that started. So that's such a great point. Um, and just constantly checking with yourself, like, is this working? What is not working for me? Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right. Leveraging strengths and collaborating with others. Let's see here. All right. So these are some key takeaways as we start thinking about how each one of these modes can really play into our strengths and how that really is impactful in being able to collaborate with others. So, um, leaning into your natural strengths. This is, as you know, like when you naturally think about like what works well for you, it's not a real lift, right? It's not a real effort. So why not implement what works for you? Um, the other point here is to be aware of your blind spots. So like we were just talking with Daniel, it's to understand where maybe some of your natural settings might be your struggle and asking you to help adjust that a little bit. So being mindful of that. Um, Using your Kolbe type to communicate better. So you can, by understanding how you work through these different modes, you can explain that a little bit better to your teammates or your teachers, or I think it helps like outline things a little bit better for people, for the people that you're collaborating with, so that they can understand too how you work, what your work style is. And this is an important point. In teams, you're combining your strengths, right? Like, sometimes there's a certain approach in one capacity, like with Roberto, how he was mentioning he's, the person that jumps right in and gets things started. That really plays into a lot of other a group setting or a group situation where that would serve as a really great jumping off point and is really conducive to, great ideas and big thoughts, and can really spur a lot of those initial thoughts in when you're working with the team. But you also have maybe all of these amazing ideas, so you need also a person that can kind of help wrangle those ideas and actually see that come to fruition. So that might be where you have like a planner who is thinking about the steps that you need in order to make those points a reality, whether that be building a timeline or setting those expectations. So that's a really great point. And lastly, the success that comes from respecting different instincts. So we all know that we work differently. There are different values that each person brings to a situation or a problem here. It's a matter of respecting that, not that really, and keeping in mind that nothing really is like the perfect mix, right? Like, some things a combination of two different work styles can really help elevate whatever it is that you're trying to achieve together. So that's really important in seeing that success through when you're all working together, is respecting these different work styles. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, I think this might be our last workbook question, in fact. How could you use your Kolbe strengths to make your schoolwork, friendships, or future career easier and more successful? I think we've touched on this a little bit, but um, feel free to expand on this a little bit more, and think about how these strengths that you have, when you think about these different buckets that you can fall into, and how that can really be a strength to your approach in your schoolwork, or maybe in your relationships and your future careers. We'll put some time on the clock and then come back here. Thank you. Okay. So let's finish off strong here. May I have a volunteer to share what, you know, you've outlined in your workbook? Roberto, please. Thank
Uh,
you.
yes, no problem. What I'm gonna say is, but my strength, as I said, was like quick start, like getting into action, like jumping into it and seeing how like everything works out, like in the middle of it. I'll say for friendships, you really never know how someone is. Like, people may say stuff about someone, they may look a certain way, they may look intimidating, or they may look really nice, but you really never know until you go talk to them, until you become friends with them, and have a conversation with them. So I feel like when it comes to friendships, you just have to first put yourself out there, see if you that person connect or not, and if doesn't work out, doesn't work out. But if you guys are really good friends, well, you just get yourself another like good friendship, and that's all because you went up to them and like you went out to like go and try and talk to them.
Yeah, that is such a great point. Um, and I would even say that I mean, I mean, I don't know like anyone who has like carbon copies of themselves as friends. Like, I feel like you you play each one of your friendships are so distinct. You have different personalities, right, in your friendships. And that person can, as different as they are from you, can actually even inspire you. So I think it's it's a great point to make, like when you can mix things up a little bit and never know how it'll turn out and how inspiring that person will be to you as well. Thank you for that. All right, may I have another volunteer?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and Jenny and choose someone for you. I really want to hear what Jezabella has to say regarding the workbook question.
I would definitely say that I want to use my fact finder strength. I feel like, especially for my statistics class, because it's dual enrollment, and professors have like a different way of teaching, right? They kind of expect you to go out of your way to kind of do the homework yourself or do most of the learning yourself in your own time. So I've been really meaning to find the time to kind of really dedicate the time and the energy to kind of absorb all the information that he puts online, whether that's videos or lessons. And yeah.
So really preparing yourself with pulling as much information as possible to
Yeah.
prepare yourself. What does enrollment mean? Is that when
Like,
you're
well, for me, it's
taking,
that I get high school credit and college credit in one course. So it's really nice.
that's awesome. Is it like a professor at a like college, at a community college?
Yeah. So a professor from a community college nearby comes to our high school actually and teaches for an hour. It's really nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's a great point as you prepare for college because that's exactly the situation. Like you don't have a professor that is providing you with you know, all of the information that you need. Like it's really about um seeking out that information yourself. It not if you don't understand something, it's like on a whole other level. It's definitely sink or swim. Nobody is holding your hand anymore. So that's a great preparation, but that would fall into exactly just that, having to find all that information out for yourself and what you don't know, and asking the questions like, what don't I know? What don't I know, and what do I need to know? Thank you so much for that. Let's see who else. Who else wants to share?
I can share.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry if like my connection's bad, but I feel like I kind of consider myself like a fact finder, so I kind of focus more like on the schoolwork aspect. And like right now, I'm currently taking Calc BC, which is like it's just series and stuff. And this is no shade to the professor, but like I feel like he just doesn't teach it that well. So I feel like I can use that strength by like looking up stuff on YouTube or finding like different like study methods online just because I feel like when I go to lectures like I don't really get what he's saying, especially because like his writing is like girl, I can't read it. Like I don't know what's on the chalkboard. So I'm just I'm kind of focusing on like self-teaching myself it. And I think the fact that like we have our midterm already coming up in like 2 weeks doesn't help, even though we started the classes like last week. So I think it's just that like finding my pace and finding like how to study it enough. Just because the class doesn't really help. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you do it having to do the work. It's asking yourself like, okay, well, it's not about fair or not fair. It's a matter of you know that this is what you're going to be tested on. So you've got to know, you've got to understand and identify what it is, what the gaps are. Um, so that's such a great point. Because that's the way that you're going to succeed, right? Like not everybody's going to hold your hand and make sure that you understand the material. And I can tell you, definitely not at work. So you not liking to talk or not doesn't even matter. If you don't understand something, once you start your careers, you definitely have to raise your hand and not be concerned with sounding silly for asking questions. And, you don't want to, you want to inform yourself as much as possible. So that's great practice for your life outside of school. Um, Who else? Who else wants to share as we're wrapping things up. One more person, and we'll be quick. Come on, we want to beat out the other groups. Just kidding. We're not
I think
competitive.
Brandon wanted to.
Brandon. All right, Brandon.
Oh, I say I could use my Kolbe strengths to make school easier by studying in ways that match how by the study method that helps me work best in school. So I'll probably use the fact finder because I could do strong research and extra like good sources that I could use for my papers, and it can help me gather notes that I could later use for my tests and on assignments, which can help me like feel more prepared and raise my grade up.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, preparation is so key, and that's such a great strength to kind of exercise a little bit more. Um, Thank you. Thanks, Brandon, for sharing. All right, let's go to the next slide and wrap things up. Okay. So for the next class, this will be our last class, Ready, Set, Grow, from Learning to Living. Reflect on key semester lessons in mindset, resilience, communication, and self-awareness, identifying which concepts had the greatest impact. Assess personal growth and mindset evolution by connecting learned material to tangible changes in their thinking and approach. Set intentional forward-looking goals and recognize personal development as a continuous process of reflection, action, and becoming. So hope to see you all in the next class. Um, I think we're just going to, I don't know if it's necessary to put time on the clock. YC staff, do we have like 1 minute we can put on the clock? Or do we skip this altogether?
Maybe we can go ahead with the announcements, and then if we have
Perfect.
any remaining time, we can go back.
Perfect. All right. All right, we have a lot of announcements, so I'm going to try and rush through this as quickly as possible. In your chat, there should be links for any signups that you would like to sign up for here. We have on April 10th at 5 p.m. tomorrow, the workbook and survey form. That's your submission deadline to turn that in. We have the summer book club application form, which is now open. This is from April 6th to May 8th. Participants can earn $20 per session for attending, participating, and submitting assignments on time. So that's a great opportunity there. And also just to bulk up on your reading. Nothing wrong with that. Ignite is the post-survey form. If you attended last Monday's Ignite Speaker Series, don't forget to complete that post-survey to receive your points. The submission deadline for that is tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Our next field trip is this networking event. I hope to see you there on Sunday. The submission deadline for that is today at 5 o'clock. Well, it just passed, but perhaps we can, they've extended that hour. Please fill out the form to be added to the wait list, and the team will reach out if a spot becomes available. And lastly, the SASH pickup form for students. This is for graduating youth champion seniors. There's an opportunity to come to this Lee and Associates downtown office to pick up your SASH on May 16th from 3 to 5. Again, the sign-up links are in the chat. And I think do we have time? No, I don't think we have time. But don't forget to submit your workbook and your survey forms.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jenny. And also,
Thank
if you guys
you.
have any questions or concerns, you can go ahead and stay in the Zoom meeting. But for those of you who don't have, you can go ahead and log out. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, YC staff. Look forward to seeing you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night, all. Bye.
Hi, Ludwika. Abigail, do you have any questions or concerns?
Question.
Yes, Abigail, do you have a question?
Yeah, so I usually get a notification when I turned in my workbook or like that or surveys. And I'm not sure if I submitted the survey for the Ignite speaker, and I was wondering if I could get the link because I didn't get a
Okay.
confirmation that it got received.
Oh, okay.
Let me send that real quick.
Okay. And yeah, we can go ahead and just verify that one with the staff who handles all of the submissions just to make sure if we were able to receive your previous submissions. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. How about you, Ludwika? Do you have any questions or concerns? Think. Okay. Na-save na yung
CSV, yes.
Okay.
This time,
Alright.
yeah.